everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my first video. I'm doing a tutorial on my Armoire pocket letter. I've had a lot of requests on Instagram for a tutorial or template for it, so I've finally gotten around to doing one. So this is one of my Armoire pocket letters. As you can see, I do the double doors at the top. I usually put their name. I have the tall double doors in the center, which is where I put my Prima doll. And then the other doors reveal the other pockets with random goodies and bits in it. And this is actually the back side of the pocket letter, the plastic sleeve. If you turn it around, this is actually what would be considered the front, and this is where you'd access the pockets. But I have to put the paper on the other side, or otherwise it'll block all the pockets and you won't be able to get to them. But it still works out just the same. The holes are still over here, so you can still put it in your binder. It'll just go in backwards, but it still works. My initial inspiration came from another lady on YouTube called LiveLoveScrap is her channel. And she makes armoires for the Prima dolls. And I had made one of those, and then I decided to turn that into a pocket letter. So I have made a template up with all the dimensions that I use. I will try to have a link in the description to download that. If not, I will find a way to get it to y'all. I'm still learning, so bear with me. But anyway, without further ado, let's make an Armoire pocket letter. So, this is paper. I chose more of a plain paper today, so it wasn't so busy. It'd be easier to look at for you guys. So hopefully this will work out and y'all can see everything. You're initially going to start with you want your piece of paper to be 8.5 wide by 12 tall. So most of the paper pads are already 12 inches, so you just need to cut down the one side to 8.5. So I like to use my X-Acto knife on my scoreboard. That's just me, and that's how I've been doing these. So let's go ahead and cut this down. And then for the design here at the top, I use my envelope punch board from We Are Memory Keepers to punch it. And I punch it at 1.5, and then again at 3, and then just flip it over and punch again at 1.5 and at 3. And then I repeat for the bottom side as well. So at 1.5 and 3 and 1.5 and 3. Okay, and then you're left with this. I like to score all the lines that I use. So all these lines will initially be scored. On the template, the red ones are ones that are actually supposed to be scored, and the black lines we will end up cutting. I initially score all of them, and then I go back and cut the ones that are need to be cut. You can mark it with a pencil or however you want. This is just the way that I have done it. So initially we have a 1/2 inch gap from the top and the bottom, and then there will be a 5/8 inch gap on the side. So we'll go ahead and mark those. Scoring at a 1/2 inch, and then I just turn it around. It's just easier. Maybe 1/2 inch, and then the top and the bottom get done at 5/8 inch. Don't ask me where these measurements came from. I was just made a lot of trial and error getting to what worked with the pocket sleeves and what, so the pockets would all show properly. So this is, I'm sure they're not exact. I'm sure they could be tweaked out, but this is just what I've done. So anyway, we've got our base frame of where our doors are going to go into. And I usually start at the top and I work my way down. So we're going to start with the top double doors. So this will be the top of the doors, that initial line there. And then the bottom of it is going to be at 3 3/4. So we'll go ahead and score that. 3 3/4. And I just kind of follow. I don't score all the way across because obviously it doesn't need to be over here, so I just kind of let it slide until I get to where it needs to be scored, so I don't have a bunch of lines that are unnecessary. And now we need to split this door in half, which would be at 4 1/4. And I don't know if you could see that, but there is the top doors that we will cut open in a little bit. Now next, let's go ahead and turn it. And we're going to mark at 4 1/4. And this would be the top for our next set of doors. And we'll go ahead and make the double doors in the center here. We're going to go at 2 7/8. Start scoring here. This gives us the left side of the door, and now for the right we'll be at 5 5/8. And there's the right side of the door, and then again at 4 1/4 we'll split this door just like the top one. And there's our double door in the center. Now we're going to go ahead and turn again. And we're going to score the bottom for the side doors here, which will be at 7 5/8. So I just kind of follow it. Score the bottom there. And I come across. And we'll score the bottom of that door. And now we need the top of the next door, which will be at 8 1/8. Score the top there. Down. And while I'm sliding down across these doors, I'm not actually scoring. I'm just kind of gliding it across because we don't want all those score marks in the doors. So just slide it across, and now I'm pressing down to score again at 8 1/8. And there basically are all of our score lines. Now we can begin cutting. Obviously just pay attention that you don't cut in the wrong spots. So I have marked on the template what to cut and what not to cut. But obviously, you know, the doors are going to open like this. We don't want to cut the sides of the door because then it's not going to open properly. Usually I will cut all the marks that go one way, and then I will turn it the other way so the X-Acto knife will slide through the scoreboard easier. So we're going to go ahead and cut our lines going down. So that will split that door. And we'll just go ahead and do one door at a time. And then we need to do the top. Where we have scored for the top of the door and then the bottom of the door. And we're going to leave the sides alone because that's where it's going to open, so you can see. And then it'll just bend right on those score lines. So you can go ahead and bend that one. And see, there's your top doors now. Like I said, you just don't want to cut on the sides or you'll cut your door off. So let's go ahead and cut our other ones. Wait, we forgot the side of our door there, didn't we? We sure did. 2 1/2. Because the gap in between these is actually where it gets glued onto the plastic sleeve. So we need to make sure that we leave ourselves that gap so we have somewhere to adhere it. 6. Sure I'm getting that right. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and cut the double door down here. I'm going to go ahead and open the center of it up. And then the top. And the bottom. And then again, fold it on that score line. And there's your other next set of doors. Now we'll do the ones on the sides. And these ones we want to open, I have them opening this way, so we're not going to cut on the sides. it so we can cut the top and the bottom now. Okay, and then we can open all these doors up. They should open. And that basically is the front of your armoire. And then, I don't know if you could see, but when you cut, it leaves like the white edges, which I don't like that. So, I usually will take some of my Tim Holtz Distress ink in my dauber, and I will usually daub the edges of it, and maybe sometimes over it. It just depends on the project, but I at least like to daub the edges of it to kind of get rid of that white edges. I don't like that. That's just me personally. But then in order to adhere this to a pocket sleeve, we're going to turn it over, and I like to use the glue runners. These are, they seem to hold just fine, so it works for me. So we are going to, where you can see where the doors aren't is where we're going to run glue, and the glue runners fit right in these strips very well. That's why I like using them, and it seems to hold so. And go ahead and run our glue. And we're going to grab our pocket sleeve. And we're going to slide this out of the way for a second. And you're find the front of your pocket sleeve to where it opens, and then turn it over. So your holes will actually be on your right hand side, and the pockets will open on the back side. And on my scoreboard, I pull the top of it down to 3/8 and try to keep it lined up on the side. And then this will go all the way up to the corner. So I try to set the corner in and then lay it down so it goes on straight. Steel. Just kind of lay it down. And then we're going to just kind of press it down and make sure we're good and stuck. And as you can see, that opens up and reveals those 3 pockets. Reveal those pockets. And then you have your double doors in the center to reveal those 2 pockets. And then I just cut the background and then slide it in the sleeves. On these 2 bigger pockets, I actually have been cutting a larger piece that will fit inside of here. And then the same with this one, instead of putting it actually in the pocket, because I put my doll on here, as you can see, and I don't like that gap in the paper behind the doll. So I actually, it's on the other side. It's not in the pocket, and I usually stick the letter in that pocket. But I don't like the gap, and the same here, I didn't like the gap in between because I wanted that to be a whole section. So I cut a paper to go up here, and I actually have the dimensions that I use to cut those papers on my template. The one for the top piece here, it's 3 1/8 by 7 1/2, and then the one I use here is 7 1/8 by 2 3/4, and that's on the template for you to download as well. And then you just fill it in your background, and then put whatever it is that you want to put in and decorate it. I like using buttons as my like doorknobs, and then just decorate it up and put whatever you want in it. So I hope this helps. The ladies have been asking for it. If you have any questions, y'all feel free to leave comments here, or find me on Instagram. It's at Angie53Rector, and I will leave that in the description as well. I hope you ladies enjoyed it, and I would love to see what y'all make. Feel free to tag me on Instagram if you post photos, or I've also been using the hashtag Armoire Pocket Letters, so feel free to use that so I can see them as well. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day.